We can see our forest vanishing, our water power is going to waste, our soil being carried by floods into the sea, and the end of our coal and our iron is in sight. But our larger wastes of human effort, which go on every day through such of our acts as blundering, ill-directed, or inefficient, and which Mr. Roosevelt refers to as a lack of national efficiency, are less visible, less tangible, and are but vaguely appreciated. We can see and feel the waste of material things. Awkward, inefficient, or ill-directed movements of men, however, leave nothing visible or tangible behind them. Their appreciation calls for an act of memory, an effort of the imagination. And for this reason, even though our daily loss from this source is greater than our waste of material things, the one has stirred us deeply, while the other has moved us but little. Frederick Winslow Taylor from the Principles of Scientific Movement. Hi, this is Sarah Russell. I'm your microdose host here with your weekly mood boost and tools for transformation and positive obsessions. And today I'm going to talk about how we're wasting our energy, how we could bring more intention to our body specifically and our well-being specifically in this episode that's on biohacking for beginners. So what is biohacking? So much like computer hacking, where hackers are using tech to get into networks and systems, biohackers are using certain tools and techniques to access systems of the body and alter them in some way. So it's a way to work on self-improvement that's part science, part self-experimentation. And it's really this desire to be the best version of ourselves. It's a systems thinking approach to what makes us tick. We are sensation-seeking creatures. What we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, what we hear affects us. And we know this, right? We are affecting ourselves all the time through our senses. So for instance, when we drink something, so we drink coffee to make ourselves more alert. We drink alcohol in order to make ourselves less socially inhibited in some way. Even getting enough water and being fully hydrated affects us in some way. Another way that we impact ourselves is through music. So what you're listening to when you're driving on a road trip, on vacation with people that you love, is really different than the kind of music you listen to after you've gone through some kind of heartbreak or a breakup. I have a friend who's tracking how he feels after every meal that he eats and how the food is acting as not quite a psychedelic, but an altering experience, right? And you've witnessed this if you've ever been to a kid's birthday party and watched them all sugar crash. But how much are you tracking how these things affect you? If you want to be a biohacker, you can start paying attention to some of these things. You can track your body, you can track your mood, you can track your thoughts. You can pay attention to how food makes you feel. And I'm talking about both mentally, emotionally, and physically. So after you eat something, do you feel joyous or do you feel a sense of shame? Do you feel comfort in your body or do you feel a sense of dis-ease? You can track where your thoughts linger and what thoughts make you start spiraling into anxiety or depression or irritation. And you can track how your body responds to different movement practices. So for instance, do you like to run? Some people absolutely love it and some people absolutely hate it. And so when we're biohacking, I want us to be thinking about these multiple spheres, right? Not just the physical body, not just the mental, not just the emotional, but all of these things together. And you know, the Taoist in me really likes all of these dantians, like mind, heart, and body, to be in harmony as much as possible. So getting out of the discord, the disharmony of these things being in conflict with each other. Oh, like it's really good for my body, but emotionally I really hate it and it's stressing me out. I don't actually think that's the best path forward. So if you're interested in becoming a biohacker, I would like you to start tracking different categories and seeing how these things affect you. So the first category is movement. So like I said, with the example of running, the person who edits these podcasts for me brilliantly, and I'm very appreciative of it, Michael, posts these beautiful photos of his morning run every single morning where the sunlight is coming through the trees. And there's so much love and joy and celebration in these like 6:30 a.m. morning runs. Clearly he loves doing it. So if you're like that, that would be a great thing to start incorporating into your life more. If you're one of those people where you hit the pavement and your knees start aching and you're getting really frustrated in your mind, running's not for you. Maybe take a dance class. It's similar with things like yoga. You love it or you hate it. Choose a movement that works for you. Track how it makes you feel. Are you enjoying it mentally? Is your heart enjoying it? Is it getting excited about it? Do you look forward to the practice? And what's it doing for your body? Is it making you stronger? Is it making you feel better? Or is it creating some kind of pain in your body in some way? So movement is one way you can track to become a biohacker. Something else you can track is nutrition. So for example, you could do an elimination diet. And there are two parts to an elimination diet. So the first part is eliminating a food that you think might be problematic in some way. So you might guess that you have an allergy or it's causing you some kind of discomfort in your body. You're worried about inflammation in some way. And there are some big popular ones like refined sugar, alcohol, dairy. You could pick a food that you think is problematic for you. Take it out of your diet for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, you're going to slowly reintroduce that food back into your body, and you're going to track. How does it make you feel? Does it kick up your allergies? Does it kick up any inflammation in your body? Do you start breaking out in rashes or hives in some way? So you could pick one food, eliminate it for a couple weeks, bring it back in, and then track the changes. Another super popular trend right now is intermittent fasting. One of the trendier ones is the 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat what you want for 8 hours. So for instance, you'd have a window from noon to 8 p.m. where you get to eat what you want. And the rest of the time, you're giving your digestive system a chance to rest, because the digestive system takes a tremendous amount of energy from the body. It takes a lot to digest our food. And so part of the reason the intermittent fasting diet is so popular is because it gives your cells a chance to repair any damage. And studies have shown that it's really great for preventing diseases. So you might want to try intermittent fasting for a week and see what that does to your body. Something else you can do for your body, for your nutrition, is supplements. And if y'all have been listening to this podcast, you know by now I love nootropics. And nootropics are foods or beverages or supplements that you can take in order to improve cognitive function. And cognitive function might mean increasing your focus or your alertness. It might be something around your mood. And like little product plug here, right? Here at MUD, we love our mushrooms, and we've got Mushroom Boost. And that's one of those things, one of those products that really increases vitality and energy and focus. But you can also do things like green tea, ginseng. I love my fish oil for my brain and my mood. One of my favorites. Here's something you could do to biohack your body. You could get enough sleep. And what I mean by enough sleep is not just quantity, but also quality. Please get the quantity, like get enough sleep, but also while you're sleeping, doing things like making sure your room is dark enough. The trick that I like to use is putting my hand in front of my face and making sure that I can't see my fingers. If I can see my fingers, then the room's not dark enough for me to drop into those deeper levels of rest, making sure that it's cool enough. Like, who would have thought? Try getting enough sleep as a way to biohack your body. See what happens. I love sleep. It's like my favorite thing to do. One of my favorite things to do. Something else you could do is a dopamine fast. And by dopamine fast, I mean you could take a social media break, because we know scrolling through social media gives this strong hit of dopamine release, and it's frequent, right, as you're scrolling. So instead of being the rat in the cage that's going up to the water bottle that's laced with cocaine and you keep hitting that pedal to get more of that cocaine out of that water, just take a dopamine fast for 24 hours. See what it does to your mood. You know what it's going to do to your mood. Another category that you can focus on as a beginning biohacker is nature. And so one of the things that I think is critically important is being able to get outside in the sun, get your face in the sun, and get your hands and your feet in the sun. And this becomes especially important as we're approaching the autumn equinox, because we know seasonal affective disorder spikes around the autumn equinox because people aren't getting enough sunlight anymore. You could also get your bare feet on the earth, or forest bathe, where you walk through the forest, or go and look at the ocean if you have access to the ocean. Because Deepak Chopra talks about we have all of these free radicals that are scavenging around in our bodies. And when we expose ourselves to negative ions in the earth, around the trees, from the ocean air, those free radicals actually complete. And so then the inflammation is able to be calmed in our body. I would also like you to think about the category of the mind, and I'm going to differentiate the mind from the brain. So the brain being this anatomical piece of our body, the mind being more about the quality and quantity of our thoughts. So when you wake up in the morning, where does your mind go? Does it immediately start trying to problem solve and fix problems and go to your to-do list? Is it full of anxiety and worry? Is it doing a past analysis of the day before and future planning in a way that's stressful for you? You might want to instead take a moment to meditate or feel some gratitude or set your intention for the day. And remember, biohacking is about small incremental improvements. So you don't all of a sudden have to sit up on your cushion, meditate for an hour and a half while you're staring at the wall. You can lay in bed for 5 minutes. And, Rick Hansen is one of my favorites for this. Think about something that makes you feel safe, something that makes you feel content, and something that makes you feel connected. I mean, you could do that in 1.5 minutes if you wanted to. It doesn't even have to be 5 minutes. Small changes to a better life. Another category you can think about is music. So you could create a playlist, and the playlist you're going to create to pump yourself up for your workout is going to be really different than the playlist you need when you're grieving or you're raging. And yes, I have playlists for both of those things. I have my grief playlist and I have my raging playlist. So in my grief playlist is Samuel L. Barber's Adagio for strings, so I can lay down on my back in the dark. Maybe there's a single candle glowing and I can just feel sad, because yes, it's important to give ourselves time to feel sad, to grieve, as long as it's not sucking us down deeper, but as a way to be cathartic and release. And I also have my rage playlist, which has a lot of Metallica on it. I don't think that's going to be surprising. Highly recommend King Nothing. Another category you can think about is meaning. So having some kind of purpose in your life. And we have this idea that our meaning is going to find us, that purpose is going to find us, that we're just going to stand here and all of a sudden meaning is going to walk up and be like, I'm why you're supposed to be here and I'm what you're supposed to be doing. But really, meaning is a choice. We get to choose what matters to us and then choose to organize around that. So find something that matters to you and start prioritizing it. Something else that can create meaning in your life is meaningful connections and relationships. So maybe there are relationships that you need to start limiting because they're really dragging you down or depleting you in some way. And then you also might want to start giving energy to other relationships, bringing people closer, creating more networks of support, building your community care, and really strengthening your collective in some way as a way to make meaning. And the last category is flow. And flow is defined as fluidity between body and mind. And this is that moment when time slows down and it feels like all of the effort you're expending is pretty effortless and you're focused and you're in the zone. And one of the times this happens for me is when I'm dancing with my friends and we're moving with the music, we're moving all together, we're breathing together, we're sweating together, and all of a sudden I'm just in this effortless, joyous state of flow. So find out how you get into flow. Maybe that's when you're painting. Maybe that's when you're listening to music. Maybe that's when you're in community. Maybe that's when you're alone. But how do you get into flow state, even if it's just for a little bit? Again, like these don't have to be big changes. These can be very small, very manageable upgrades. So start with the basics, meditate, eat healthier, get a good night's sleep, find movement that you like, take a supplement that you've been curious about, very small changes. So biohacking your body involves trying out new techniques and seeing what works for you, not what works for your family or your friends or everybody on the internet or on social media, but really going like, I'm going to do this thing that I think might create a change in my body that I like, in my life that I like. And I'm going to watch and I'm going to witness and I'm going to observe and I'm going to customize it. Because that's what biohackers do, right? They're curious and they're adventurous and they customize. So pick one of these categories, one small thing you're going to do, And as James Clear talks about, commit to a 1% improvement every day for 7 days. Make it small. Commit to it. Try it. See what happens. Here's a quote from Alice in Wonderland to put you on the path. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't much care where, then it doesn't matter which way you go. So choose your direction. Even if you don't know where the path is going to lead, just pick a direction for a little while, see where it leads, be curious, follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole, see where it leads you, and we'll see what changes for you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's how I can keep creating this content. You can also check out trendswithbenefits.com for all of our written work, and you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. And spoiler alert, I'm going to be writing an article about biohacking for beginners that you'll be able to check out soon. For all I know, by the time this podcast releases, it'll already be out. Also, if you have any relationship questions, please send a voice memo to podcast@mudwtr.com so I can give you some free support, some free help. If you're curious about something, if you're struggling with something, I'm here for you. I want to help. I'm here. I want to do it. And we are able to offer Trends with Benefits, microdose, macrodose listeners a special discount code for our mushroom boost. So this is a supplement you could try taking as part of your biohacking experiment. I like to add it to my pancakes. It has 8 different mushrooms that are all USDA certified organic. And if you use the code BOOST25, you can get 25% off your first order of mushroom boost. Here's hoping you find your path, get to explore it enthusiastically, and find out what works for you.